So I am Nikhita More, Senior Software Engineer at Red Hat. I have been with Red Hat for 3 years now, and I work with front-end frameworks like React, Vue, Next.js. Along with that, I also work on AI, ML, and Python.
Yeah, so this is Soumyadip. I am also working at Red Hat for the last 4 years, and am I audible properly? Is it audible? Yeah. So I'm mostly working on cloud microservices and mostly on the developer experience. And other than that, I also work on blockchain. I have written a few of the journals. So at the end of the session, we can also discuss about that. So let's go to the next slide.
Okay. Yeah. Before we get started, I want to take a quick poll. How many of you are involved in developing single-page applications but do struggle with deploying them? Okay, nice. So our work is done. We can go. Okay. As we say, right? Like we are excited to introduce you to modern open source solution that's been helping to reshape how we deploy and manage our applications. That is, the solution is SPAship. Now, I want you to think it in this perspective. In an enterprise environment, when teams are building dozens, sometimes hundreds of applications or single-page applications, how do we manage to deploy them efficiently at the same time, along with them update independently and still feel like one cohesive platform for everything? That's exactly the problem SPAship is designed to solve. Let's go. Yeah. Okay, before we get started, what is SPA? SPA is a single-page application that runs on client side in a user's browser. That is usually with assets like, compromised with static assets like JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Some of the popular examples are React apps that we build, along with them the Next.js and Vue applications. Okay, now let's go to what is SPAship. SPAship is an application platform that is used for deploying and hosting and managing single-page applications. One of the major advantages of SPAship is it reduces the development cycle, time, and friction while deploying SPAs. It's an open source solution that we have built. We use SPAship in Red Hat. So these are some statistics that I want to show you to you guys. The total number of deployments that we have done using SPAship is around 72,000. And the total average time to deploy is around 6.45 seconds. This is for single-page application.
Yeah. So I think Nikhita just said that what is SPAship basically, and what is single-page application, and what is the overview of SPAship. Now let's get back to something that why we started this SPAship. Like what is the need of this? Now, as a developer, when you develop some application, we know that we have to deploy it somewhere. Now, what are the problems we usually face? Now, this is 2025, we have a lot of solutions, but we were building this solution in 2020. So there were very few solutions available in the market, and most of the things were the very manual process. So we started this process to solve those problems, solve those existing problems that development is taking too much time. And along with that, we are focusing on the developer experience. Now, as a developer, we mostly work on the performance. Like, this is the deployment time. Let's say the deployment time is 10 minutes, and we are completing the same job in 1 minute or 2 minutes. But we really don't care about the developer experience. Now, if you see, as a developer, let's say you were let's get back to 10 or I think most of you have 10 years plus experience. So let's get back to your initial days when we were just start the coding. Like our main job is to code and let's say develop the applications. Now, let's say developing an application takes 3 hours, and as an intern or as an ASC, our job is to not only develop the application, let's say we also have to deploy. Now, how much time we are giving there to deploy the application? So this is some concern which this is some effort which are not very much visible. Now, along with the performance, we also want to increase the developer experience. So it was our main goal. Now, if you see, this is why the SPAship came into the picture. Along with the performance, we are also focusing on the developer experience. Previously what used to happen, you have to, if you want to deploy an application, you have to do a lot of stuff. You have to probably go to DevOps, if you have to go to infra guys to create all the namespace, or let's say if you have any bare metal, you have to provision all those things. Now that's a very hectic job, and as a developer, we don't really need to focus on that. Our job is, as a developer, our job is only to code. Now why we'll be spending, like, let's say 3 hours of a day or 2 hours of a day only for the, for managing all the infrastructure, or focusing on the deployment part. So that is why SPAship came into the picture. Now, as you can see in the slides, we have written pretty much thing. Let's say we are managing CI/CD, namespaces, and everything. But once we go through the architecture, we'll discuss about that, like what is the deployment strategy and how we are reducing the time and how we are managing the infrastructure in a better way.
Yeah. Okay, let me walk you through what SPAship core features are. Efficient and multi-cluster deployment for higher availability. Static and containerized application deployment, it does support that. Along with it, it does support building and deployment directly via source, that is Git. Easy integration with CI and GitLab. Along with this, we also provide support for Symlink, SSI, and we do have RBAC for better control of your own application and spas and properties in the namespace. Along with this, complete analytics of the application, which shows the deployment time, activity stream of what and who has run what in the application. Along with this, the statistics of deployment. The benefits, I think Soumya covered that, but just to revise them. Simplified deployment process, as you don't have to spend a lot of time. Once you have onboarded your application, you just have to come and deploy, that's all. Less than 5 minutes to deploy, so you don't have to spend a lot of time doing that again and again. Second, we do support preview environment, that is, you can see and create preview applications in production context before deploying it actually to production. Then, as I can say, deploying and updating applications without manual intervention and quick onboarding of applications. SPAship architecture.
Yeah. Okay, so we have just given you the overview of the SPAship, what is the main role of SPAship. Now let's talk about what are the components. Now let's dive into the technical part, that what are the components we have, and I think there is an architecture. I'm not sure that is completely visible or not. We'll share the slides with you. Now in SPAship, we have 5 core components. One is operator. I think if you are working on Kubernetes, you have pretty much idea about what operator does. And we are using the same operator, but with some manual changes, or you can say configurations. CLI, this is the tool which is mostly using by the developers and the manager as well. So for the users or developers, we have these 2 tools, that one is CLI and one is manager. Git broker is something that we are currently working on, mostly for the reconciliation. Now orchestrator, this is basic. An orchestrator, we have one component. Orchestrator and operator, these are some internal components which are capable of managing all the resources and, let's say, routing your request and everything. So we'll dive into that each and specific component. Now let's dive into the architecture, that what is basically the high level overview of SPAship. If you look at the diagram, as an user, when you come to SPAship, you will get 2 things. One is SPAship Manager, which is the entry point or gateway for using the SPAship. You also have the CLI tool. So as a developer, you have to come to SPAship Manager. You have to just register your application. Let's say you have a domain, let's say access.red.com or foo.red.com or anything, and within that you have 10 spas or single page applications. So you just have to register your property, and within that you can, let's say you need 3 pre-prod environments and 1 production environment. So that is very much easy. You don't need to think about that, what is running behind. As a user or as a layman, let's say you are a product guy, you have not very much, you are into project management, you don't have very much idea about what is running behind. So when you dive into the SPAship Manager, probably Nikhita will show you. So you just have to select the environment, what is the environment type, pre-prod, prod, and put the environment name, dev, prod, is it dev, is it prod, is it stage, that's it. So if it is a prod one, so then we can deploy in 2 clusters mostly for the reliability, and if it's a pre-prod one, then you can also deploy it in whatever what is the required cluster. Now if you see what deployment engine, or you can say operator, does when we are getting the request for the property. Let's say you have, as I just said, foo.red.com, you have to register that, and once you registered it, our deployment engine will go to that specific cluster. Is it a pre-prod or prod? then it will create the namespace over here. In the next diagram, we'll talk about that, how it's managing all the resources and configurations. Now here comes the concept of SPAship operator. This is a very internal thing. So what it basically does, it manages Kubernetes resources, it handles the deployment, it creates the namespace, it deletes the pod, like all the core features. I'm not diving into the slides very deeply. Now let's look at the deployment strategy. I think I have already covered in the previous slide. As you can see, we have 2 clusters, and within that we have namespace, and within that you have pods. If you look at it, we have the pods as, these pods are your environments. Let's say prod, let's say stage, let's say QA. These pods are your environment. On top of it, we have the namespace. The namespace is your property, and on top of it, we have the cluster. Now, how this multi-tenancy works, as you can see, as a developer, your job is just to deploy, upload your SPAs or your archive or build file. So once this build file come to the SPAship, it analyzes with, there is one .SPAship file. We'll talk about that. So from the .SPAship file, our SPAship will get all the configurations, and it will check that do you have the property available in the cluster? No. If the answer is no, then it will create the namespace, and you will get your environment. If yes, then it will deploy your internet application, that is, let's say archive.zip or build.zip in that specific pod. So you can see this is a pretty much clear, this is a pretty much workflow of SPAship operator, how we create the environment, how we manage the environment, and at the end I have given that SPAship one platform. This is basically the namespace we are basically creating. Now you can ask me that, is it a native Kubernetes solution, or we are running it on only OpenShift? So this is, if I tell you in this way, here we are, underline we are using the OpenShift resources, but here our main goal is to increase the developer experience, right? Underlying the infrastructure is OpenShift only. Now I think these things are also covered. I have already discussed about that, what is the pre-prod cluster and production cluster, and this is a basically deployment overview. As you can see, we have one router, that's a reverse proxy basically, and that QA, dev, and stage, these are some environments. So within the environments, you have all the spas. Let's say var www.html. There you have all the spas. Yes. Now Nikhita will walk through to the SPAship Manager.
Okay. As Soumya mentioned, right, we do have components like SPAship Manager. SPAship Manager is a web UI that we have created to enhance the developer experience. So I'm going to go with the stills right now because Soumya is going to show you the demo later. So first, this is a homepage of SPAship where you get an overview of all the web properties you have created and you are a part of. Second, the deployment stats for your property. Third, some basic onboarding guides and all. This is a configurable, so you can add other things what you want to see on the homepage individually. Next, okay, so this is a create property page where you can onboard your new properties. When I say property, in the sense applications for your own, for yourself, and then here you just have to add basic details like the title, host name, the environment type, pre-prod or prod. This is what defines where it goes in a multi-tenant or a single one. And then the CMDB code, we do make it compulsory for a better tracking. And if it's a C1, then it goes into clusters, and if not, then the single one.
Oh, just this is very specific for
Red Hat.
Red Hat.
Yeah. This is how it looks like when you create your property and you can add application. At the start, I mentioned that it does support static containerized deployments. So static deployment containerized can be done from here as well as from CLI. Then the settings part. Settings, you have a lot of options to configure your own property. Environments is a section where you create your own environments, prod, pre-prod, stage, any of them. You just need to come here. It will be a form. Put the details, nothing like, see, the environment name, the host name, and the environment type. That's all. Nothing else you have to do. Everything will be managed at the backend by the operator and orchestrator. Here you can see the list of all the environments that have been created for your own application. All these are available under the settings section of the web UI. Next, you need deployment. For deployment, you need your API keys. So you can just come here and create your own API key. Single API key can be used for multiple environments as well. You just have to configure that. And yeah, that's all. Same, you can just see your API keys and for deploying applications?
Yeah. So let's come to the deployment application part. Now, if you say like when we were developing the SPAship, it was on 2020. The prime thing was like we were all working on React, Angular, Vue, and we are exploring all those frameworks. Now, if we come to 2025, now you can see that there are like everyone is migrating to SSR. Now, what is the role of SPAship, right? This question may arise. So we are continuously evolving. I'll also show you that how we can deploy the containerized application. That's the later part, but our prime focus is the static deployment. Now there is one tool that is SPAship CLI. So what it basically does, if you want to deploy that from your local environment, you just install the CLI. I'll go through the commands. What are the commands? There are 2 commands that you have to basically use, and you can also integrate that with your GitLab CI as well. There's 2 commands. In the demo, I'll show you the live. I'll also show you the live demo. So if you see, there are only 2 commands that you have to use. One is SPAship init. You just have to add the routes, and you just have to add your SPA name. Done. And in the deployment, you have to just select the environment, put the API key, give your application.dist archive, deploy it. Done. Yeah, this is the slide. Now you can also do the same thing from the UI as well. You can come to SPAship UI and directly upload your zip. The same way we mostly, let's say, if you are using Git, you are uploading any file. This is the same way. Yeah. Now, if you look at it, in the we are providing the reference, selecting the environment, path, application name, and that is the zip file we are uploading. And once you deploy it, we have the analytics section where you have the activity streams, how much time it's taking for the deployment, and how many deployments you have done. We have also the analytics available for the property. That's a property, environments, and the applications. We have 3 sections for the analytics. And same thing in the similar way, as we are evolving, we have also provided support for the containerized applications. Now you can see this is very similar to OpenShift. Yes, we are using the same APIs for the deployment. So this is basically the deployment strategy. You provide all those configurations in the same way we do it in OpenShift, but here we are just giving you a wrapper where you have to put the same details, and we'll spin up a pod. Now, what is the difference between static and containerized? In static, for every application, you will get a pod. Sorry, for containerized, for every application, you will get a pod. But for static, there is only one pod, and within that, we have all the SPAs. In the same way, you can deploy it from the SPAship Manager as well. You will get all those very basic configurations, secret, configs. Then you can also select the resources, that how many CPU. This is for the containerized application. This is a little bit different from the static deployment. You can also define the memory, CPUs, what will be the memory limit, what will be the CPU limit, and how many configurations, or what are the secrets. And currently we are working on the strategy from the Git application as well, that is build and deployment. We are using the native OpenShift build. So you have to just if you have used OpenShift, you can see this is very similar to that. You have to provide your Git repository, and you have to mention your Docker file link. So it will analyze the Docker file and start the deployment. And in the similar way, you have to provide the secrets and configurations as well. And we have the MP+ configurations over here. So this is basically a very overview of the SPAship. Now I'll go to the SPAship Manager and show you a small demo. Yeah, so this is what SPAship looks like. Here you can come here, you can provide, like, give all the details, and it will create your applications. It will register, it will create the namespace and create your environments as well. Now if you see, we have already environment for testing, that is SPAship Manager. So this is how a property page looks like. So here you can see we have all the application listed. Now what Nikhita just explained, we have all the environments over here, all the like listing environments, API keys, and also one thing that you can also manage your access by yourself. Now here, as a source of truth, we are using Rover, but if you are using in any other environment, let's say you have your own cluster and you have your own source of truth, so you can also integrate that with your, like, customized source of truth. Now Git broker is something, this is something I'll tell you at the end. This is currently under development. Now here we have the analytics section. I think we have already covered it. Oh, what I'll do, I'll just create an application and deploy it. So let's say what you have to just execute two commands. One is SPAship init. I have already a file, so I'll make it at DevConf, and path it will be DevConf. Yes, and now is it visible properly? Yeah. Now you have to run another command for the deployment, that is basically SPAship deploy. You have to mention the internet environment, in which environment you are trying to deploy. In this case, I'll take the prod environment. Prod. I'll just copy it from here. That's it. Sorry, my bad. Just a minute. SPAship deploy env. You have to put env here. Control V. Yeah. Now you have to put the API key. So you can create the API key from here, from the dashboard only. Let's say test. Let me make it as never expire. And you have to pass the argument. So let's say here I have already created the zip. So that is archives.zip. I'll just click enter. It's uploading the SPA in the SPAship. At first it will go to the orchestrator, then it will go to the operator, then it will deploy. As it's a prod environment, we are deploying in two clusters. As you can see, this is the internal one, east 1 and west 2. So let's go to the DevConf here, DevConf. Yeah, let's go to the analytics. You can see I have just started the deployment in 11:23 and it's completed, and it took around 10 seconds. And let's come here. As you can see, yeah, this is the prod one. Sorry, yeah. Again, this is deployed. So this is how you can deploy your single page applications. And I have only shown you the single page application. In the same way, you can do it for the containerized applications as well. I will not take much time, so I'll just show you these options. You can get it. This is for if you want to deploy it from the Git, and this is if you have your own image, you can just put the image, and you can set select the replica set. You can select the memory CPU. It will be deployed. Is that much easy. And this is something which is we are working on currently. So this is basically webhook. You can integrate it with GitLab. You can just copy this webhook and integrate it in the GitLab. So if you want to make your deployment automate, so let's say if you want an ephemeral environment, let's say you are creating a merge request, but you need an ephemeral environment to preview that how this app will look like. So in the same way, you can do it. You can just integrate with the GitLab. It will when there is a merge request, it will spin up the pod. And you can also do the ephemeral deployment from here as well. So you just have to pass the preview. Yeah. Now it will create a ephemeral deployments. If you come here, and you can see we have created a ephemeral deployment here. So the SPA name is DevConf. Yeah, so that is basically the deployment strategy of the SPAship. Now the question is, yeah, I think I have already shown you this how ephemeral deployment works. Now the question is that how you can use it. So if you have your cluster, now this is very tied to OpenShift, very much closely integrated with OpenShift. Now if you have your cluster, you can just install the SPAship operator in your cluster, and it will work. Now if you want to contribute, we have the GitHub page here. So this is the open source project. So we have the GitHub repository. You can come here, and there are few open issues, and you can raise your pull request here as well. So this is also part of the Hacktober Fest. So yes, now we are open to questions. Any thoughts, any concerns that, or if you have any feedback, anything. Yeah.
So you have these SPAship files there.
Yeah.
Could you show us
Yes, sure. I think I have missed it. So let me quickly show you that. So this one. So it will create as when you run the SPAship init. So let me. It will create a SPAship file. Yeah. So this is the YAML file that you have to have in your distributions. So when you upload this SPAship YAML file, it will go to the orchestrator. Then orchestrator will analyze that what is the path name and what is your application name, and from the environment URL and from the API key, it will with the API key it will authorize your request, and from the environment URL it will get the property and environment details, and then in the operator will pass a .SPAship file. So .SPAship file will be managed by us, and SPAship.yaml file you have to provide us. And when you don't need to really think about SPAship.yaml, you just run SPAship init, done. Yes, any other questions? Yeah, so I think we would take some time. Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, so when, yeah, could you please repeat the questions? I think, oh, I have to repeat, yeah. So what she just asked that what advantage SPAship has when the UI looks very much pretty similar to OpenShift. Now, if we come to the containerized deployment, your question is pretty much valid. We are not doing much more things there, because in the containerized applications we are only using the OpenShift API and upload our applications. But when it comes to a SPAship file, we are creating the pods, we are creating all the routes, we are we are deploying that Apache pod over there, and within that we are managing all the resources. So we have the sidecar, sidecar as a components over there. So when it comes to the single page applications or uploading your build, here we have the advantage for the SPAship, because SPAship is doing all those things. Now if you go to the OpenShift, you have to manage everything by yourself, you have to write all those pipelines. But in SPAship you don't need to really do that. You can only focus on the application deployment. You come here, you just within few clicks you create your environments, you can select your cluster, you just upload your file, that's it. But when it comes to containerized, your question is absolutely valid. We are using the pretty similar UI. Yes. Yeah, the custom resource is there. So in the operator, when you upload all the details, it oh yeah. So he's asking that do you have the custom resource? Yeah, the answer is yes, we have that. Yes. Any other questions? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so his question was that is it for single page application, or if you have backend packages, what we should do? Now, our initially when we started, our intention was only support the single page applications. Now, if you look at the SSR architecture, that is the pretty much similar. Let's say if you have a small Node.js application and the SSR architecture is if you are using the Next.js, when you create the build or when you container, that is pretty much similar. So we can say we don't usually promote that you can use backend deployment. But with the support of the containerized applications, you can deploy, let's say, as a small backend packages which is not very resource heavy. So we have the support for that. That is when you have the support for deploying the container, you can deploy any other container. But we are focusing on the SSR because the application size is not that much heavy as backend. Yeah. Scheduling. I think from the SPAship you cannot do that. So we'll take that as a feedback for the release. Let's say you can schedule something and it will release it. We'll take a note of it. But as of now, no. But you can with some scripts you can do it manually. So yeah, as of now. But that's a very good suggestion. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. This is as of now. That is just container. Okay, repeat the question. So yeah, so his question was that is it only the container that we are trying to deploy? Yes. So okay, so the question was like, are we planning to do anything like beyond the container? So as of now, we haven't thought of it, but we'll take a note of it and we'll see that how we can cater it. Yes. Any other questions? I think we are also on time. And if you have any feedbacks, just scan this. Scan this from your phone. It will just take 2 minutes of your time, and it will be like very much helpful for us. Your suggestion will be very much helpful. You can just scan it and provide your feedback of this session, and like based on the feedback we can take some few days. You can just take a snap and within your free time you can do it. So I would like to tell you that just take a snap of it. Yeah. So and if you want to connect with the speakers, we are available on LinkedIn. So you can just take a snap and like we are happy to connect. And if you have any queries regarding the SPAship, you can also connect to us. You can connect to us from the you can go to the GitHub and create the issues over there. And if you want to connect with us, then you can just go to LinkedIn and connect. We will be happy to connect. So that is all about SPAship. And one last call, that do you have anyone, if you have any questions regarding SPAship? That's a last time call. If no, so I think we are good. So that is, I think we are also on time. So yes, thank you everyone for coming to SPAship and coming to this DevConf and listening to our session. Thank you so much everyone, and thanks to the co-speaker Nikhita as well. And I just also like to tell you one shout out for Ayush. So he was also a member of SPAship as well. So yeah, this is the basically team. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much.